every time there's a bridge that goes across the canal, like, across the canal, there's a green light in the center of the bridge. That's the channel. And then there's a red light over here and a red light over here. And that's the piers. So you got to stay away from that, and you steer right on the green light. See? Okay, so I'm going through the canal, and there's a green light ahead of me, and there's a red light. So I'm steering on the green light. Well, I'm thinking, okay, that's the channel marker, and the red light over here, and the red light over here was burned out. Yeah, assumption. But ships also have a green light and a red light. I'm steering through the canal, and I'm dead reckoning right on the green light. The green light is the starboard running light on a freighter. But he was running in ballast, which means that he was high up off the water, see? So I'm steering on the green light, assuming that that's a channel marker. And all of a sudden, here's the bow of this big ship right in front of me. And the captain, he's looking at the chart. See, he's over here, he's looking at the chart. And I said, there's a ship dead ahead. It was close too. He spins around, and he took his elbow like this, and he shoved me out of the way, and he grabbed the wheel, and he spun it, going to the right towards the bank. He goes, spins around, full left rudder, and he straightened her up, and then we did a little fishtail. And then we went right by, the freighter went right by us on the left-hand side, and we went, Now, you see, what you said was, nobody tells me this, you didn't know. Okay, I didn't know this either. I didn't know. Then the next morning, I steered it the rest of the way, Next morning, I got called into the captain's office. And then he says, Struce, what was going on? Last night? And I told him, I said, I was steering on the green light, assuming that was the center of a bridge, And I said, I was assuming that the other red light was burned out, see? And he says, those red lights, they don't burn out. He says, if the bulb fails, there's a switch in there that switches over to a different light, see? So there's always a light on. But see, nobody ever taught me that. I didn't know that. I would have run that 110-foot tugboat right into that freighter. And I could have spun the wheel like this and do the same thing he did too, but I never was under that kind of circumstances. I never ran that boat under those circumstances. I didn't know what would happen if I did.
Right.
Well, I never had any time to think about it anyway. He's asking me what was going on, and I told him, and I explained it to him, like it was a little bit fuzzy, hazy, I couldn't see anything, and I didn't see the ship. Of course, he sees the ship right away. But here's the thing, we didn't have a lookout. We should have had a lookout on the bow. And we didn't have a lookout. We didn't have a lookout on the bridge. The lookout is supposed to watch and tell you if there's anything unusual going on. Okay, they didn't have a lookout, just me. And what about the freighter? Where's the lookout on the freighter? He's supposed to tell the captain of the freighter, hey, there's a boat coming right directly at us. Red and green running lights right in front of them. So who's in charge of this freighter? Like, aren't they supposed to blow the whistle? Like, hey, hold it a second, what? So anyway, I explained it to them. to the captain. Well, this is what I said. I was steering on, you know, and then see, every ship has a log. And everything that happens on that ship is it goes in the log. You think that ever made it in the log? I'm not the guy writing the log. The captain is the guy writing the log, right? You think he's going to say, "Well, we just met almost last night"? He's going to say, "Oh, we completed our surveillance run." You know,
Uneventful.
uneventful.
All's well that ends well.
Nothing to report.